السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعزائي طلاب الثانوية العامة قسم شعب علم علوم، أهلا بكم في حلقة مميزة لتسليط الضوء على بعض النقاط الأساسية التي تتعلق بالوحدة الأولى والوحدة الثانية في منهج الأحياء باللغة الإنجليزية. This episode is special for make discussions about weakness point in Unit 1 and Unit 2. Then to play and why to making about the avoid the weakness point it occurs, to avoid make mistake that occurs in this curriculums. Okay, first one, starting with the supporting. There is a two type of support. First one, support implant, support in humans. Support implant, two type of support. Number one, physiological support. It's temporary, depending on water, so it's called temporary, يعني مؤقتة. And second is permanent, as the result of it is essential element found in the plant. Okay, first one, it's called physiological support temporary, depending on absorbing the water by osmosis. Okay, osmosis. What the meaning of osmosis? Transport the waters from high concentration of waters to low concentrations of waters, or transport the water from low concentration of the solutions to high concentrations of the solutions. Okay. Physiological support. There is three types of the tissue found in the plant. The schedules that represents it. Okay. Okay. Number one, parenchyma cells. It's characterized by interior cellular space between them. So it's depending only as a physiological support. Number two, collenchyma, depending on type of support, physiological support and the structural support. Why? Because it's living cells, it's depending on the physiological support. And it contains cellulose, it is depending on the structural support. It gathers between two types, physiological support and the structural support. Sclerenchyma, non-living cells, doesn't contain the cytoplasm, so it's called stone cells. Sclerenchyma. Sclerenchyma depending only on the structure support. Okay, we can classify the structure support and the physiological support. Parenchyma, it contains only physiological support. Collenchyma contains both of the structure and physiological support. In epidermis, it contains both of structure support and physiological support. Why? Because the epidermis, it contains the parenchyma cells without chlorophylls and covers wide the cuticle layers, it helping to prevent losing the water during transpiration process. And structure support, it's found only in the sclerenchyma non-living cells. That's right. Now we are going to focus about the structures in the human being. Okay, that's right. Support in the human. What is the type of support in the humans? Support in the humans, we can classify the support in the human according to study the structures of the skeletal system. A skeletal system in the human, it's classified in two categories. Number one, axial skeletons. Number two, appendiculars. What is the difference between axials and the appendicular? Axials move according to the axis, such as the skulls move upward, downward, nodding. Okay, that's right. And thoracic cage, vertebral columns, the three only it's common component of the axial skeletons. Axial skeletons, skulls. A skull, it contained about 28 bones. It consists of 8 serrated bones found in the cerebral parts and 14 found in the facial parts. 14 bones found in the facial parts. So it's number 22. And audicule oscularity, that means that العظام السمعية. Auditory ossicles. Auditory ossicles العظام السمعية 3 by 2, 3 and 3 called 6, by 28. And one hide bones, the total numbers found in the skull 29. Then discuss about the thoracic cage. Thoracic cage, it consists of 12 pair of ribs. That means that 24 of ribs. 24 of ribs. Okay. First 10, it connecting directly with the sternums, and the 11 and the 12, it's connecting from backbone in posteriors with the centrums and the transverse process that found in the body vertebra. It's called floating ribs. Okay, floating ribs. Okay, رائع. Then focus about the vertebral columns. It consists of 33 vertebrae, 26 bones. It classified into number 1, cervicals. It consists of 7 vertebrae from 1 to 7. First vertebra is different from the second, and the rest 5 it is then different. So is the different 3 vertebrae. 1 different from 2, from different rest 5 it found. This vertebra is found in cervical articulating. What the mean of articulating? Can ability to move. Then the thoracic it consists of 12 consists of 12 vertebrae from 1 after 7, 8 ton reaching to 19. Articulating. Okay, then the lumbar it consists of 5 vertebrae, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 5 articulating. Until reaching to the lumbars, this articulating. Then the sacral not articulating, it consists of 5 vertebrae, but it fused, so it's considered 1 bone. And sacrals, finally, is found in the vertebral column and consists of 4 vertebrae. It fused consists of 1 bone. So the total number of bone, 26 bones. Okay, this is related to axial skeletons. Then discussing about the appendiculars. Appendicular, it consists of upper limb and pectoral girdles, lower limb and pelvic girdles. What the mean by of the pectoral girdle, الحزام الصدر? It consists of the triangular shape dorsal bones found in the dorsals. It's called scapula. Scapula, inner end, it's broad, outer is pointed. There is a cavity between the scapula and the humerus. It's called glenoid cavity to make the shoulder joint. Okay, clavicles, the horizontal bone connecting it is the ventral bone from frontals. Okay, connecting laterally with the scapula and connecting anteriorly with the sternums. Then discuss about the upper limb. Upper limb, it consists of the humerus, 1 bones. Okay, articulating with the forearm, then at the elbow joint. There is a forearm, it consists of 2 bones. Number 1, radius. When you straighten your forearm, there is the thumb. It is the direction of the thumb. It's called radius. Move semicircular bones about the fixed ulna. This is ulna in the direction of the small fingers, and the radius it is the direction of the thumb. So it's move semicircular about 180 degrees around the fixed ulna. Okay. Then the radius it connecting the lower parts with the carpals. What the mean of carpals? Rear rest. Okay, it consists of 8 bones. It arranging in 2 rows. Okay, phalanges. Okay, this bones 5 bones. It's called metacarpals. Carpals 8 bone arranging in 2 rows. Metacarpals is 5 bones. Phalanges it consists of 14 bones, except the thumb it consists only the 2 bones. So the number of bones that found in one arm 30, and another arm is identical 30. Total number 60. Pectoral girdles, 1 scapula, 1 clavicle, 1 scapula, 1 clavicle. It's the total numbers. Then discuss about the lower limb. Lower limb beginning with the femurs. It is the largest bones found in the human being. Okay, why? Because it's the biggest bone. It is articulating with the pelvic bones from the acetiplums. What is the meaning of the pelvic bone? Pelvic bone consists of 2 identical bones. Between them, it's the pubic symphysis. Pubic symphysis. It relaxed during labor in the woman until reaching to the delivery. Okay, iliums and pubis and ischium. Ilium is connecting anteriorly and ventrally with the pubis. Ilium is connecting the posteriorly and ventrally with the pubis. There is the cavity found. It's called acetiplum, articulating with the femurs from forming the thigh or hip joint. Femurs, it is the big bones. It's articulating with the shank at the knee point where the patella in front of your knee. Shank, it consists of 2 bones. Okay, tibia in inner parts, fibula outer parts. Then discuss about the foot bones. Foot bone, it consists of 7 bones, it's called tarsals, and the 5 bones, metatarsals. Then the phalanges, similarity between the thumb in the hand, it consists of 14. So the total number on the lower limb, each limb, it contains lower limb 30 bones that identical that found in the upper limb. The total number of bones that found in the human being, 206 bones. Okay, as explaining before, and this is a skeleton in front of you. That's right. Okay. Then discuss about the bony vertebra. What the main type of the bony vertebra? Bony vertebra, it is the main structure of the vertebra that found behind in the vertebral columns. Centrums. A centrum is anterior for you. Anterior part, anterior thick part, centrums, connecting laterally with the transverse process. Okay, the transverse process carrier the 2 anterior articulating process, and the neural ring, it's connecting posteriorly with the centrums and contain the neural ring, neural canals through which the spinal cord extend, reaching to the brains, connecting the spinal cord with the brain. The neural ring carrier the neural spines. These are the posterior bones bending or direct downward. Direct downward. Okay? The neural spine carrier to the posterior articulating process. Please focus me at this point. How the vertebra articulating with another vertebra. For example, vertebra number 17 and the vertebra number 16. Vertebra number 17, it is behind the vertebra number 16 and in front of the vertebra number 16. Okay, 17, 16. Okay, 17 articulating with the anterior articulating process with the 16. 16 articulating with the posterior articulating process with the 17. So the articulating it's occur between anterior articulating process in front and the posterior in the back with the making the articulating. Another type of the supporting joint. Okay, what's the type of joint? Many type of joint. Fibrous joint, it found in the skulls. It's immovable to protect the brain from the durables and the shock. Another types, synovial joint, that represent most of joint found in the human being. Why? Because it's found on all parts in the body. Synovial joints, it contains synovial fluids. Synovial fluids, it's had the ability to helping the cartilage found in the tips of each bone to sliding to prevent the corrosion and helping its move between them. And the finally type of the joint, it's called cartilaginous joint. It found in the backbones or in the vertebral column to prevent the corrosions between the bone to each others. That's right. Who limited for the movement or control the movement? That's control the movement ligament. Play an important role. Identify the directions of the movement in the human being. For example, limited movement, very limited. Fibrous joint. Immovables, immovable, very limited cartilage. Immovables, it's got ability to move. The serrated bone it found in the skull. Immovables. Fibrous joint, immovable, not at all. Very limited movement, cartilage joint found in the backbones. Limited movement at elbow, up and down, and the knee. Wide movement, shoulder and thigh. It has the ability to movement in different directions. Why? Because the number of ligament is decreased. So as the ligament play an important role in the directions inside the human being of the skeletal systems. Okay? Ligament play an important role, connections, bone with bones. The type of ligament, anterior and posterior cruciate, lateral collateral ligament, medial collateral ligament. Femurs, it's beginning with and acetipliums with the depth inside the that's acetibular to helping in articulating, and ending with the toe process to articulating with knee. Okay, there is the types of the ligament. Femurs articulating with tibia, with the tibia femur connecting with the tibia at the knee joint, anterior and posterior cruciate, and medial collateral ligament. Connecting with the fibula with lateral collateral ligament. Lateral collateral ligament. Finally, from the support in the humans, discuss about the tendons. Tendons connecting bone with muscles. Bone with muscle, helping the bone during contract and relax. Contract and relax. Most important tendons found in the human being, it's called Achilles tendons. It's connecting between the gastrocnemius muscles and the big bones that found in the behind. It's called heel bones, اللي عظمة الكعب. Gastrocnemius muscles play an important role in the ability of the muscles to move and walking normally. When disturbances, it's okay in Achilles tendons, ability to move due to the vigorous effort, sudden contractions from the gastrocnemius muscles that lead to inability to move your foot. Another point, what is the type of the movement in living organism? More movement in plant, second movement in man. Movement in plant, cytoplasmic streaming, continuous movement in the living organism, okay? Continuous movement, positional movement, for example, peristalsis found in the esophagus. Another type of peristalsis, movement inside the stomach and small intestine, is a positional movement, حركة موضعية. Okay, right. رائع جدا. Another types of the movement, first type of movement inside the plant. Movement, number one, awakeness and sleeping. It's okay in the plant. When you're touching the plant leaflets, the leaflets, it's approach to each others, okay? Then the external striate, it's removed, returning to the normal positions. So it's called touching movement in the plant, awakeness and sleeping in the plant, depending on osmosis, okay? Another type of movement, pulling movement in tendons in climbing plant, the pea plants, and the another type, lower grabs. When the tendons move in a spiral shape in air, when touching the solid support. When the tendrils is touching the solid support, the side that faces the solid support is become less thickness, another side it had a more thickness. So its length increase and pulling the plant to grow vertically. What happened when the climbing plant and the tendons found in the climbing not meeting or touching the solid support, welt and die gradually? Okay. Then discussing about the movement in the humans. What's the type of movement in the humans? There is a different type of muscles. Smooth muscles doesn't contain myosin and actins that's found in the blood vessels, found in urinary bladders. Striated muscles, smooth muscles, it's called unstriated. Striated muscles, it's found in myosin that contain myosin and actin, found in the skeletons, upper part and lower part. It's called voluntary muscles. It had controlling by movement upward and downward. Okay. Another type in voluntary muscles, it contains of the myosin and actin cardiac muscles. Cardiac muscle. Also, it's involuntary, but it contains myosin and actin, so it's called striated involuntary muscles. Okay. Then discuss about the main component or structural unit of the skeletal muscles. The structural unit of the skeletal muscles is called muscle fibers. Okay? Muscle fibers in front of you. The skeletal muscles, the building unit, it's called structural muscles. It's called muscle fibers. The muscles surrounded by consists of a group of muscles surrounded by bundle. It's called the bundle membranes. The protoplasm of the skeletal muscles, it contains cytoplasm. It's called sarcoplasm, and found from outer surface, also called sarcolemma. It's contain a large number of nucleus. It's called multinucleated. Why? It's called multinucleated. Each nucleus contains a nucleolus. It has the ability to contain the large number of ribosomes. Ribosomes play an important role senses of the protein. So this muscle's main component is protein. So it's contain the actin and myosin filament play an important role in formation in the skeletal muscles. The muscle fibers, this contains 1,000, 2,000 myofibrils. It contains two regions, different regions. Number one, I, it's called light band. It contains only actin filament, thin filament. Dark band, A, it contains two types, thin filament, actins, and another filament, thick filament, it's called myosin, and bisected from semi-lighted band, it's called H. اللي بنقول عليها اسمها مين؟ اللي هي semi-lighted band، المنطقة شبه مضيئة. It consists of all myosin. But I band it bisected by Z line. Why it's called Z line? Zigzag, Z lines. During contraction and relaxations, it occurs by the different stimuli. We can explaining after a few minutes. Okay. Okay. Muscle fibers. The distance between two successive Z, it's called sarcomeres. What is the number of sarcomeres? Number of sarcomere equals darked band equal H. Z line equal sarcomere plus 1. Light band equal sarcomere plus 1. What is the number of complete light band? يجي لك كده في questions يقول لك ايه؟ What is the number of complete band? Multiple choice questions MCQ A, B or C يديك number معين. What is the number of the complete light band? Complete light band equal Z minus 2. Okay? Number of incomplete light band always equals 2. One from our side and another side to another side. Okay? During contraction and relaxations, when the body exposure to the external stimuli, the transmissions from the motor nerve cells, from the brain and the spinal cord, reaching to the synapse. What's the meaning of synapse? It is the synaptic loop, contains the synaptic vesicles, contains the new chemical transmitters. It is called Axial Columns. As soon as the nerve impulse transmission in the motor nerve cells, the calcium ion enters to the synapse. Okay? When the calcium ion enters, ruptures the Axial Columns that found in the chemical transmitter. Then the muscles changing it contract. Outer surface is become negative and the inner surface become positive, and the muscles is contract. The muscle must be returning to normal positions, relaxations. This is found is the cholinesterase enzyme. Cholinesterase enzyme play an important role in two. Decompose the acetylcholine, acetic acid and the choline. Then the gate of the sodium is closed. The potassium ions enter outside. The sodium ions inside the cells is become majority, so is the inner surface is positive. After that, decrease in a minute, the sodium inflow outside and these muscles returning to the normal positions. It is called at rest. Outer surface is the positive and inner surface is the negative. The potential difference equal negative 70 millivolt. The muscle negative to the normal positions at rest. When the muscles exposure to the vigorous effort, then it's the less decreasing a large amount of the consumption of glucose. So it is the muscles attend to leading to the anaerobic respirations, consumption of large amount of the oxygens, and the lactic acid accumulate inside the cells of the muscles, and the acetic acid outside the mass causes the fatigability or muscle fatigue. Then it is the exposure to the spasm, like the muscle to make the chance and to respire aerobically, and the cholinesterase enzyme make again, and the calcium ions forming the transferase linkage get away from the actin filament and returning to the normal position. Thanks a lot for you. I hope you meet you again in the new episode. Thanks a lot from you, dear students.